In this tutorial, we will look at how we can edit the attributes of each of the entities. So when we click on each of the entities, we will see in the entity editor the attributes are listed below. So these attributes include some basic things on how to load the model. We will just keep these on their default setting for now. We can look at these in more detail in a later tutorial. The model is where the model is located on the computer. Animation, if the model contains animations, then this basically allows the animations to be activated. Dynamics volume is something related to collisions, which we will work on in a later tutorial, so we're going to skip that for now. But what we're going to do is we're going to come down to opacity. So basically we can choose the level of transparency of the entity that we've selected. Going further down, we can see displayed, so whether or not the entity is displayed or not. The scale of it, so how big the actual model has been scaled up or scaled down. In this case, we're going to leave it at the normal scaling because the model is the correct size for what we need. This is the orientation of the model. So if we were to rotate the actual entity itself, then these values would change. The parent relates to whether or not this model is part of a parent model. So for instance, if you had a car model, the wheels might be the children of the car model. So the car model is the parent and the wheels are the children. So in our case, we don't need to worry about this, but it's good to know. Next we have the position. So that's the position of the entity within the scene. Whether or not that entity casts a shadow, and whether or not the behavioral graphs of the entity will be enabled or not. For now, we will leave a lot of these settings alone. There are a few things that we will need to do here in a minute, but we will come back to that in a second. So, okay, so the very first thing that we should do is click. Let's choose the select tool, because then we don't have the transform gizmo showing. The manipulation tool will show the transform gizmo. We will just choose the select tool. We will choose the picture. Then something that we need to do quite urgently is change the names of the models, because the models have been given default names and we need to know which model is which. So what we're going to do here is we're going to click on the picture, which I've already done, click on rename entity and rename it. So in this case I'm going to rename the picture to picture. I then want to do exactly the same thing for each of the models. So we will give them sensible names, because then we will know which one is which. So this one will be the batter, because he's the one who bats the ball. The pitcher throws the ball, the batter bats the ball. And we have a guy out here which we will call the fielder. Okay, then we have the pitch. So I've clicked on the pitch in the background. I'll then name that to pitch. Crowd wall. And don't leave spaces because it's not good to do that, just use an underscore. So crowd wall, and we also have a landscape cylinder. So we will just call that the landscape. Okay, so one model which I haven't done, which is the baseball. Okay, so we will name that the baseball, of course. Okay, so now all of the entities within our scene now have nice and friendly names, which we can use to refer to each of those entities as and when we need to. So, okay, so another thing we need to do right now is we need to position each of the entities and rotate them to their correct rotations. So we're going to click on the pitch, and first of all we notice that the position of the pitch is not at the origin. So this is important because the model has been designed so that the picture stands directly at the origin of the model. Okay, so we set that to 0, 0, 0, which basically just shifted the pitch to make sure that the origin of the pitch is equal with the origin of the actual 3D space that we're working in. We need to do that again for the crowd wall, so we click on the crowd wall, same again, it's not at the origin. We choose it to be at the origin because, like I've said, the origin of the models is 0, 0, 0. So we want these to line up nicely. So there we go. Okay, so that's that one done. Then we need to do the landscape cylinder. So just double check to make sure you're definitely dealing with the right one before you start changing things. So 0, 0, 0. Now all of the static, we call these the static entities because of the fact that these things won't move during gameplay. So the other entities, the dynamic entities, will move around the scene, whereas the pitch and whatnot will stay static throughout the scene. So okay, so now we've set all of those to the origin. Now what we need to do is we need to have a look at the people who are going to be in the game. So what we need to do is we need to rotate this guy so that he's standing in the right direction to bat the ball. So we choose a manipulation tool. We can then look here into the attributes and we can see the rotation changing. And we can also move the position as well by using the different axis labels on the transform tool. Okay, so now we've rotated him. Let's just have a look at the picture and make sure, see, he's not facing the right direction, so we need him to face the batter. And then we have a fielder who, it would be nice if he could also face the direction of the gameplay. In this video we have seen how we can edit the attributes of an entity. This includes renaming entities, repositioning entities using the attribute editor, and also how the attributes are affected by the use of the transform tool.